Hello, FounderHub community, and welcome to another demo day. As a reminder, we hold demo days every Wednesday at noon. This is a benefit for our community members and for Slidebean customers. So 1 or 2 companies get to practice their pitch. In the end, a pitch deck is all about practice, right? And delivering that correctly. And our guest today is Lawton Lai, and I hope that I pronounced that correctly. He's a seasoned recruiter turned entrepreneur with years of experience in the field. His vision for the company was building a product that he'd love using as well, which I believe is something we all should do, right? We should all build products that we love using. So welcome to today's session, Lawton.
Thank you for having me, Kaya.
So as a reminder, you can join our FounderHub community at founderhub.io. We handpick different companies from the community to be our guests in these demo days. And if you have any questions for Lawton, you can share that on the YouTube chat, or you can do that directly on our Slack community. So if you're ready to go, Lawton, we should get started.
Yep. Just let me share my screen.
Awesome. Alrighty. So as a reminder, Lawton, you'll have 3 minutes to pitch. I will time that, and I'll tell you how much you took just as a reference. But if you go over 3 minutes, it's okay. I'm not that mean.
All right.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, let's do it. Go.
All right. So FindRecruiter is a platform for marketplace recruiting. What this means is we connect employers and their jobs with specialist recruiters who are most capable of filling them. But before I dive into FindRecruiter, let me ask you all a question. If you had $10,000 to spend and you were looking to buy something, be it a fancy watch or a fast computer, what'd be the first thing you do before actually buying it? Well, like most people, you probably go online and do your research, right? That is what most sensible people would do. Could you imagine spending all that money buying something you might not actually want? I definitely can't. So how does this tie into recruitment? Companies in Hong Kong on average pay recruiters $10,000 for every placement. But what's astonishing is that barely any of these companies make sure their recruiters are right for the job. As ex-recruiters, we spoke to all our clients, and more than 80% of them told us word of mouth was the only way they met recruiters. But it's not their fault. With over 1.5 million recruiters in the world, each different in their specialization, service, and pricing, businesses can definitely have a hard time in finding the right recruiter. Here's our big idea. What if there was a marketplace like Airbnb or Upwork, but made specifically for recruiters and businesses to connect? This platform would enable businesses to hire the best talent with the best recruiters, expand internationally with the help of local recruiters, and easily manage all the recruitment activity on one centralized platform. We at FindRecruiter are building this platform, and we're extremely excited on the progress we've made so far. So since we launched 4 weeks ago, we've had 81 recruiters signed up with zero marketing budget. We've received letter of intents from 4 different agencies who said they'd be willing to pay for our service when the marketplace goes live. So how does FindRecruiter work? Every recruiter that signs up will be required to create a profile. Think of it like a resume and marketing brochure rolled into one. It tells us exactly what the recruiter is good at based on their specialism, track record, and rating. And with all this data, our AI and algorithm can quickly match recruiters with jobs that they're most able to fill and introduce the best candidates. But there's more. We believe finding the right recruiter is only the tip of the iceberg. We want businesses to really enjoy the process of working with our recruiters. That's why we've created Milestone, a collaboration tool that brings clarity and transparency into the whole hiring process. So instead of rummaging through countless emails, clients can now manage all their recruiters and hiring activity at a single glance of a dashboard. Our team is made up of 3 co-founders. Howard and I have 15 years of recruitment experience. Ted, our CTO, was the head of engineering at Zalora and Grana. Right now, we're looking for seed funding that'll help us dominate Hong Kong as the largest recruiter marketplace and begin our expansion into Asia. Together, we can help thousands of businesses hire simply anywhere. Thank you.
Just 3 minutes and 21 seconds. So congrats on staying on time. Really cool at what you're building. Now, I guess I'll speak a little bit for the rest of the community. I have no experience. I have no idea how the recruiting market works from the
Yeah.
recruiter's perspective.
Yeah.
But I'm curious on how that works. That do you solve, or whose problem are you solving? Are you solving the recruiter's problem or the company's problem? And
Yeah.
how are you focusing that?
Yeah. So we're actually solving problems from both ends, right? So from a recruiter's point of view, this platform would help them save a lot of time in searching for business, in looking for clients that are actually hiring, right? An average recruiter spends about 40 hours a month looking for business. But with our platform, with our algorithm and AI, we can quickly match them with jobs with just a few clicks of a button, right? So essentially on our platform, they'll be able to make more placements and make more money. And from the business point of view, they want to hire the best candidates, right? With the global talent shortage today, all the companies out there are fighting for the brightest talents. And in order to do that, a lot of businesses have turned to recruiters for help, right? And our platform allows them to find the best recruiters for their specific job.
Cool.
So, for example, if you're looking for a blockchain developer, right, that's based in Hong Kong, the best way to do so would be finding a specialist in blockchain that understands the culture, the market, and has the culture, right? And we will be able to provide them a platform in finding that recruiter.
Got it. And how do you make money out of this? I'm not sure if you mentioned that.
Yeah. So our business model is subscription based. We charge recruiters a subscription for using our service. It's a quarterly or annual subscription, and employers can post their jobs for free on our platform.
Cool. Talk to us a little bit about it, and we've been discussing this a little bit in the past few weeks. On your co-founding team, how did you find them? I'm being curious and hoping to answer this question to a bunch of other entrepreneurs in the group.
Sure.
They've been struggling to find their co-founders. How did you guys meet? How did you guys get together?
Yeah, so our team is made up of 3 co-founders. Howard and I make up the business function of FindRecruiter. So we meet all the clients, the recruiters, and think about the vision and the problem to solve. Fortunately, because I'm an IT recruiter, I meet a lot of IT candidates. And Ted, our CTO, was a candidate of mine who I thought was really good at his job. And so I pitched him. I pitched him on the job, and he was crazy enough to join us.
You are, yeah. I'm assuming you're better at recruiting than the rest of us. You have much more experience, I expect. That's cool. Yeah. So where are you in terms of development, and where are you in terms of, or how do you balance this development towards your seed round? So I see that you have an app prototype, but how far do you expect to get before you really need that funding?
Yeah. So right now we are bootstrapped. The capital we have in the bank is some of the profits we've made in our own recruitment firm, but before starting FindRecruiter. We have about 8 to 12 months in terms of runway. I think our plan right now is to first get enough recruiters to join our platform, right? And once we have enough recruiters across different specializations or a diversification of recruiters, we'll begin bringing employers on. And that's when I think we'll need a lot more funding in order to help us grow quickly and get our name out.
Cool. How do you expect that process will be? You mentioned that you will need funding before you approach employers.
Yep.
What type of company are you approaching, and why? I mean, where are you spending that money, that seed money, to get in front of these companies?
Yeah. So the clients we're approaching mainly right now are across all industries. I think we don't discriminate against any industries, but I think more of the small and medium enterprises would be able to take advantage of FindRecruiter the most compared to the blue chips or the big corporations. And I think the money we'd spend mostly on hiring a strong business development team to help us meet as many clients as possible and bring on board as many employers to use FindRecruiter. And at the same time, our IT team, so under our CTO, to build our product as quickly as possible as well.
Awesome. Got it. By the way, as a reminder to everyone watching the live stream, you guys can ask your questions on the YouTube live chat, or if you're part of the FounderHub community, you can do so in the Slack group. We'll have Lawton left for like another 5 minutes, so ask away. Lawton, anything that I can help you with, or any questions that I can answer so far?
Yeah. So we've started speaking to investors, and I've been going to investor events and getting a lot of name cards. Do you have any advice or tips as to emailing investors or sending a pitch deck out? Anything you would recommend including an email that would be more eye-catching and stand out from the crowd?
On the email itself, no. I actually wouldn't send your deck directly on the email. So my experience with emails is very short, very personal emails work best. So if you and by the way, with investors, you should always go for warm intros. If you can get a warm intro, and somebody can introduce you to them, then yeah, you could just set your pitch deck right away, or that'll make your life easier. But sometimes you just don't have that many investors in your network, so you have to resort to cold emailing. If you find, so first, if it's an angel, I'm assuming that they'll direct line of contact will be email. If they're a small seed VC firm, they likely have a contact form or a process on their website. So I think that's the best way to go at it, to sort of follow that process and not try to outsmart that. Maybe follow the website form or whatever. Sometimes they have a little thing so you can upload your pitch deck. But then maybe you can send like an email on the side and say, hey, I just applied on your website, just making sure that you got my application, something like that. But I think that cold emailing, just a short intro, no attachments, nothing. Just send the presentation. I'm sorry, just send a quick note saying, hey, I noticed that you're investing in this industry. We're building this product. I'd love to share a deck with you to see if you'd be interested. That's one option. Another good friend of mine and one of the managing partners at the Dream and Accelerator, Andrew, had this quote. I don't know if it's his, but he always used to say, ask for advice and you'll get money, and ask for money and you'll get advice. And I've seen that happen a couple times when a couple of our investors, we reached out to them because they had experience in the SaaS field, and we were struggling with churn maybe, or we wanted to ask them a question about one of these, about how to target our marketing. And as part of this conversation, they came across a company. They were rather interested. Last tip here is, I've seen investors sort of freak out or just lose interest in a company when you pitch them because you're raising money. A lot of times, and a lot of our investors I met at a stage when I could say, no, we're really not raising money now, or we don't need money now. We are just building this product, but I wanted to know you early on and keep in touch and maybe send you monthly updates or something. And they're like, okay, fine. That's a lot easier an entrance. Sometimes investors can feel if a company's struggling or if they're running out of money soon, and therefore they need to raise money really fast. And if they notice that you're sort of desperate for money, that's usually not a good sign. So that's my advice there. That's all I got.
Okay. Another issue that we're facing right now is because we're essentially a B2B product. If you don't understand recruiting, if you never recruited before, or if you've never used a recruiter before, it might be quite hard to understand our product. That's why when I mentioned our pitch just now, we tried to create a hook that everyone can try and understand. So I mentioned about if you had $10,000, could you imagine not knowing what you would be buying? right? So that's what we feel most employers are doing right now, is they're finding recruiters to help. They're finding the wrong recruiters to help, essentially. They're picking recruiters just purely on word of mouth, which isn't as effective as it should be, right? And getting this message to people that don't understand our industry has been quite difficult. Do you have any advice or tips on how we can try to make people understand or relate a business they've never dealt with before?
Got it. And that is a tough one, because indeed, people, it's a lot easier to relate or to sort of speak to an audience or in a message or in a product that they understand, or a struggle that they've felt before, right? I think that your approach on the $10,000 line on the pitch deck is good. It's a nice metaphor comparison. But I think you should A/B test on that pitch deck. It's those are expensive A/B tests, because then maybe you pitched an investor, or you got their email and you got through and you got to send that message, and maybe they didn't like it. So okay, so try another approach. So in a way you sort of burned that lead, or you wasted that conversation. Another quote that I'm stealing out of Elizabeth Ian, who was our advisor in 500 Startups. She has a fantastic blog if you want to check it out. But one of her lines was, you need to pitch 100 investors for every 500K that you want to raise. And in our own experience, that was true. We actually had to pitch almost 200 investors, not in-person meeting pitches, but actually email, contact, something. There are over 100 investors in our list for the 800K or so that we raised. So I have a question from the audience, so I'm gonna forward that to you. Let me read this. It says, I have created a new type of hydroelectrics that can be built in many sizes without the need of a river. It uses 3 tanks, and I will generate energy constantly with the same water. With $1,000 is enough for me to do an MVP. John, this is not the right moment to ask that question. Go ahead and ask that in our community. We're focusing on FindRecruiter right now. So okay. Did I miss anything from what you asked? I'm sorry.
No. I think that was really helpful. I think one thing we're trying to do as well is speak to like-minded investors, or investors that are familiar with HR tech, so they understand the pain points within recruitment. They understand why our product exists, and it could be easier to work with in the future as well. Is that something that's you've done, Kyle? Meeting with so many investors, have you turned down investors because they just didn't share? You felt they didn't share similar goals, or you felt you couldn't work with them? What are your thoughts there?
So it's a luxury, right, to be able to turn down investors. I have never had an investor that says, hey, I'm committing X amount of money to your round, and me saying, no, like, we'd rather not have you. No, that has not happened. What has happened is investors that you can tell are, I don't know if fishy or sketchy is the word, probably not, but there's a cultural difference. To give you an example, we had this conversation with an investment firm in Italy. Italy as a general, I don't want to stereotype here, and I hope this is not misunderstood, but just because of how the work laws in Italy work, people have a lot of vacations. So I think it's the month of August where everybody in Italy is out on holiday. So we happen to be raising money in the middle of this. And we were getting, so this is a conversation that I would send an email and then I'd get a reply, I don't know, 2 weeks later. It was the month of August, but even after that, we had very slow replies. And I don't know if that's a red flag, but it was one of these things where like, do we really want to have to follow up with these guys? If maybe they're not that interested at all. So I had the luxury of saying, no, like, I'm just going to stop following up with them. If they're really more interested, they'll reach back. I think we have had a great experience with our investors. And I'm not just saying that because I'm streaming live, but in the end, you want to try to find investors that are passionate about what you're doing. In
Yeah.
reality, investors. I was just talking to not one of our investors, but another. He invested in some other companies, and we were talking about these monthly updates. And what he was saying is, we really don't read monthly updates every month, but you should always send your monthly updates. So this gives a sense of the time that an investor is willing to put in a company. So if you ask them for a favor, if you email them directly, they most of the time will help you out. But they're not like on top of your company, or you should find investors that are not like on top of your company all the time, because that'll just stress you out. They'll try to dictate a roadmap that's maybe not, and that's maybe not the right one. And you're the expert in your company and in your business, right? So that's the relationship that you should try to keep. They should be passionate about it. They should be excited about you as a founder and what you're trying to build. But you should be ready for them not being.
Okay.
And you don't want them on the phone all the time. So
Yeah.
if you detect that it's maybe their first investment, that could be maybe not a red flag. Let's call it a yellow flag, when they might be more intense than they should. I do have a question for you now from Jose. Jose Cortez is saying, what is your differentiation from services like Workana, or freelancers ready on market? Not sure if I got that question, but just forwarding it.
Okay. I'm not too familiar with Workana, but freelancer market sounds like a freelance marketplace, something that's similar to Fiverr or Upwork. What we are is we're a marketplace for professional recruiters to work with businesses, right? And the way we define professional recruiters is that recruiter needs to be licensed under local authority to hire. So for example, in Hong Kong, you would need to have something called an EA license, or in Singapore, you would have to have a recruitment license as well, right? So we don't just allow any freelancers or anyone that claims to be a recruiter to join us. And in that way, we have a level of standard or integrity as well for our clients or employers who do use our platform and work with recruiters to hire.
Lawton, following up on that,
Yeah.
how many recruiters are there in Hong Kong, for example?
Yeah. So in Hong Kong, there are 5,500 recruiters. There are about 871 recruitment agencies.
Okay. The reason I ask is because being such a, I don't want to say small, but being such a very specific target, your user, the recruiter itself, how are you? I would argue that it's probably a better and more efficient way to acquire these guys on some sort of direct sale or cold emailing, or rather than a marketing, like a wide marketing campaign that has the potential to reach a lot of people, but you don't have that many people to reach. How have you thought about this?
Yeah. So the way we've been meeting recruiters so far is I think LinkedIn has been a great tool. Okay, we've been reaching to recruiters directly on LinkedIn, but our belief is growth on FindRecruiter, recruiter growth specifically, will be organic. So let's say when our first 300 recruiters start making money on FindRecruiter, making more money than they usually earn, word will spread. And as recruiters are salespeople as well. When salespeople hear about, oh, I can make more money on this platform, I can meet more clients, I can increase my revenue opportunity, they come onto FindRecruiter and they join our platform.
Got it. All right, Lawton, we're coming to the end of our half hour.
Okay.
I don't know if there's anything else you want to add for the people watching, or anything else that I can answer. Last chance.
Yeah. So just shout out to Howard and Ted, if you guys are watching, my two co-founders. And thank you, Kaya, very much for having me here. First time pitching on Skype. So it's definitely been a great experience, great learning experience. And look forward to using Slidebean and other tools moving forward from you as well.
Great. Thanks a lot for taking the time to pitch. I hope that the practice was useful. I hope that, I don't know, 3 months from now, you can go back to this video and say like, whoa, my pitch has really improved from what we had. So Lawton is on our Slack group. So if you want to ask him any follow-up questions, he's going to be available there. For anyone watching on our live stream, also check out the link to our community. Both Lawton and I are usually very active there, and we can answer any follow-up questions you might have. So officially wrapping this one up. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks to YouTube community and thanks to FounderHub community. I encourage you to just again to sign up and ask us any follow-up questions if you have any, or participate in our future demo days. We hold those every Wednesday at noon Eastern time. Lawton, once again, thanks a lot for joining us today, and have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you next week, everybody. Bye.